well with this microphone.
Yeah. So how you doing, Vicky?
I'm good. And you? How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's great to have you on. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
for inviting
how's
me.
the day been so far today?
Yeah, it's morning time for me. So I was doing some business thing, but enjoying my morning, my meditation, and some time with my partner. Yeah, I love morning time actually.
Great time for meditation for sure, for sure. Yeah. So go ahead and let the viewers know who you are, what you do, and why you do it, Vicky.
So I'm Viky Piccioni. I'm born in Italy, but I live in the States, and I was living in Australia for 5 years and in Germany for 8 years. So
Okay.
I'm an itinerant healer. And
Right.
yeah, I worked with different modalities, helping people, and also in different therapy modalities. But in the last 3 years, I started to do relationship coaching and
Okay.
dating coaching because it's my passion.
Right.
And it has been the greatest success in my life to have a conscious relationship, be able to have a like healthy relationship and attract the right partner for me.
Right.
So I am passionate to help others to do the same.
Okay. So like when you say like it was your passion and things like that, so like is there a reason why you chose to be a relationship coach, like in terms of kind of a purpose behind it beyond being a passion that you have?
Yes, I feel it's my purpose. You chose the right word, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I felt my purpose was to help others to heal and to live a fulfilling life.
Hmm.
But in my personal experience, relationships have been always painful and struggle for my whole life. So when I could overcome that and reprogram my mind and finally break free from toxic relationship and dysfunctional patterns, when I did that, it was like, oh yeah, I feel a call, a purpose to help humanity to do the same, to break free from dysfunctional relationships and know how to attract the right people, the right partner, how to create healthy relationships. So yeah, it's my purpose. I feel it. I feel I am here in the world to help people to find love and healthy
Right. Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to the fundamentals of everything is love at the end of the day. So like that's what we all like want to actually feel. So relationship coaching does help us to help others to get to that stage. But speaking about struggles in relationships, because you mentioned struggles, what would you say some of your struggles have been in previous relationships?
I was always finding attractive and attracting people that were really avoidant and
Mm.
emotionally unavailable all the time. And this was the biggest struggle for me because in the beginning there was this chemistry, love bombing, attraction. But then at the moment the relationship was getting a bit serious, like
Hmm.
a couple of months later, um, every time I was needing emotional support or emotional presence there, they weren't there. Never. Like it was like just there for fun and not for the relationship thing. So I was always attracting this type of people, and I understood that was coming from my childhood because my parents weren't really there for me. They were too busy with their problems and their life. I grew up pretty much alone.
Mm.
So I developed this belief unconsciously that, yeah, emotional availability, it's normal. And
Right.
I was attracting this. So
Okay.
this was the biggest struggle for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, people
So
that were not really present there emotionally.
right. So how did you deal with like this type of like emotional avoidance? Because obviously that would be like something difficult, especially if it's a habit that keeps reoccurring, that you start to see that pattern. So once you saw that pattern, how did you deal with like this avoidance that you were witnessing in your relationships?
So the first step for me was to understand that it was not my fault because all the time when we feel rejected or people are not there for us, we feel maybe I did something wrong, there is
Mm.
something wrong with me. So the first step for me was like really to understand there wasn't something wrong with me, like it was good to express my needs
Right.
and to cultivate the fulfillment of my needs by myself. So I was nurturing my needs, like also to be there for myself. I learned to give more self-love to me. Self-love was the first step because I had to understand and accept myself and love myself unconditionally and don't feel bad or blame myself all the time. I also don't blame others. I was feeling, okay, there is a situation here. We are both creating this. What I can do? So I was taking responsibility, loving myself, trying to be there for myself. This was the first step. And the second one was like trying to understand why I was creating and co-creating with the other person this dynamic.
Mm.
And after years, actually, I could find out that this was a repeated pattern for me and from my family. So I started to understand that I had to work on my subconscious mind.
Mm.
So to reprogram my subconscious mind to perceive that emotional unavailability it's okay, but to perceive the opposite, to attract the opposite, I
Right.
had to train my mind.
Mhm.
So to understand that this was not good and I had to overcome my traumas. And it was a long healing process, actually. I can't really
Yeah.
explain it in a few sentences,
Yeah.
but yeah, self-healing, trauma healing, forgiveness of my parents. Of course, this was also one of the steps, forgiveness, and establishing my needs, and also saying my needs are important, and if they can't handle with my needs, it's okay. We don't have to keep the relationship. So accepting them, forgiving them, but also making space for the right people for me, and validate my feelings, validate my needs. This was a big step.
Yeah, I agree because I always say like self-love, it all starts from self-love. If we cannot learn to love ourselves, then it's hard to express who we are and allow for other people to appreciate who we are and show us love in that kind of way. So yeah, that's beautiful that you were able to see that at that stage. But I wanted to ask you, in the context of human nature, we come across different people and we have different attractions to different people. But there are, different relationship styles that we also have. So, in your opinion, what do you think of monogamy and non-monogamy, as relationship styles? Like, what is your viewpoint on that?
Hmm, that's interesting. Many people make me this question. So I always perceive love as something without borders. So love, it's love. So it doesn't matter gender, poly, mono. Uh, Love, it's love. It's everywhere, and it's no border for me. So I totally understand if someone experiences love for a different type of people at the same time and attraction for a different type of people. But during the years, I felt that to establish a strong foundation in a conscious relationship and mutual growth, you need lots of commitment and lots of focus. And I found myself able just to do it with one relationship at a time.
Mm,
So uh, over the growth in my years, this changed a bit. I feel I can love more people, but I feel I can have a relationship with one because it's a strong commitment. It's lots of self work and together work,
mm,
and so I perceive monogamy as a choice if you want to go very deep in a relationship and create a strong foundation and mutual growth. But if you feel in your life, like everyone that feels in the life, they are more into discovering, go for it. Like, go for it, do what your heart is telling you to do, because maybe you are not for a monogamous relationship, I am open to both views. I
mm.
encourage people to do what they feel it's right for them and don't judge in themselves because everyone is different and
Yeah,
we have to accept
yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah, okay. So for people who are monogamous, because traditionally, a lot of people are believe in monogamy, but at the same time, their human nature does cause them to have attraction to others. Like, what can they do to have an understanding of what is going on in that situation, and how can they overcome that?
Yeah. if they are in a relationship already and they feel attracted by other people outside of this relationship, they should question themselves if there is a lack in the relationship they are in right now.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's about luck. When we try, in the human nature, when we try to fantasize on other people or we feel attracted by other people, we want kind of escape unconsciously. So maybe there is a lack in the relationship and they have to express it, or they have to find out what they can do to improve in that relationship. So this is my suggestion. Like, if there is this feeling, make yourself some questions about it. I'm happy in this relationship. There is something that can improve. There are some lacks. Can I explain to my partner this? We can find a point to grow together or not. Like, oh, maybe this relationship is at the end and I have to accept this. And maybe, so inner questioning would be good in that case.
So yeah, also when you talk about there being a lack in the relationship might be the cause of them having attraction outside of that relationship. Do you think it's possible for us as people to get everything from one person, or is there always going to be some type of lack that we don't see in our partner that we see outside?
I feel we can't have 100% of needs satisfied from another person. We have to rely on ourselves. This is even in a super thriving, healthy relationship, we need to rely on ourselves. There are things that only us can satisfy about our necessity, our needs. So we can't demand that to someone because, it's also good to have some differences and to complement each other, not to be like, I have to be dependent on you because you have to give me everything, like this will be a bit dependent. So we have to be self-sufficient in a relationship to have also an empowering relationship and not depending relationship. So the lack can be something that goes beyond that. The lack can be something that maybe I can't express myself, or maybe this person is not respecting what I ask, or is doing always the same bad things. And so if there is a lack of respect, a lack of understanding, a lack of also commitment to work together. So this is the lack I was talking about.
So in terms of like the fundamentals of the relationship, if there's something lacking in that, then that needs to be addressed. Okay, great. So, I coach different people, like men and women, right? And a lot of the women that I coach, tend to have anxiety towards relationships, right? And the men I coach, they have anxiety about dating, and that affects their confidence, right? So what would you say are some of the causes of anxiety that people have when it comes to dating and relationships?
They are afraid of being rejected. So the anxiety comes because it's like, they will like me? Will I have been enough for them to be chosen for another date? The anxiety comes from the fear of judgment, the fear of being rejected, the fear of not being accepted. So when it's unrequited love there. And so how they can deal with anxiety is that, it's normal to have fear and worries. We are humans, but we can overcome that and do our life without the fear interfering too much, So what I will recommend for the anxiety is that they find out what was causing this strong fear, because it's a previous experience or multiple previous experiences that were causing this anxious status when they are dating with others, so with new people. So I will go to tap there into the experience that was creating this fear and to heal it, to feel more confident and to feel, if, there is one thing that I really experienced so much on myself. I was doing all the thing possible to be liked because I needed this approval, and for me it was so important to be perfect, that so they can like me. But then I understood that there was really something that I was missing inside, that was my self-acceptance, and feeling that if they really are meant to be in my life, they will see me without me doing 1,000 things at a time.
Right.
So just being myself authentically, if there is a match, there is a match. I don't have to do something, in particular. So I was releasing this expectation of being liked and accepting that, yeah, it can be that people don't like me and I don't like them. And it's okay if we find out this from the first date. It's saving us time.
Yeah.
So I was working on this, on accepting the option of maybe they don't like me and feel I can be authentic. And if there is a match, it's meant to be. Otherwise,
yeah,
let's
move
go
on.
on.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like, self-acceptance being a way to overcome anxiety, but still some people struggle to accept themselves. So what could they possibly do to learn to actually accept themselves for who they are when they struggle with that?
They should drop this feeling of blame and guilt because they feel it's everything because of them. And they have to understand that it's not their fault if they are wired also in a certain way or if they behave in a certain way. So like dropping the blame, dropping the guilt is the first step to self-accept yourself, because there is lots of shame, lots of guilt that is coming from the past of something that happened to us or the way we reacted. And we have to understand that we need to depersonalize that. Taking responsibility, it's not be guilty or blame ourselves. It's taking responsibility is like, yeah, this happened to me and yeah, I became in that way, or I expressed myself in that way, or I felt in that way. And it's not really my fault, but it's my responsibility to overcome that trait of me or to overcome that experience. But responsibility is not guilt. Every time they take responsibility, they feel like, oh, I feel so ashamed of me. And this guilt, we need really to release that. And accepting is like, we are human, we need to make mistakes to learn, right? And to don't judge ourselves too much. It's like feeling more compassionate toward ourselves. This is the key, compassion.
Right. People tend to judge themselves a lot more than other people are judging them, and that's where a lot of that can come from as well. Yeah, it's crazy sometimes. But like when people get into a relationship, especially a new relationship, they like to immerse themselves into that relationship because they're getting all the butterflies, all the chemistry, it's fresh and everything like that. So at that time, it's easy to lose yourself and immerse yourself into that relationship. So how can people still have a sense of self and still immerse themselves into a relationship that they're having chemistry together?
Well, there is something about chemistry that is a bit shocking, but when we feel the butterfly in the stomach, usually is not really a healthy dynamic, because at least we reprogrammed our mind already, because most of the time we feel this chemistry when we find in familiar dynamic. So something that is familiar. So our brain is telling us, oh, there is a feeling of home, like, and maybe we were having like dysfunctional dynamics in our family. And then we feel this chemistry and this connection super strong and the butterfly for people that are reminding us unconsciously of our family dynamics. So chemistry, it's really overrated. This is my opinion. It's overrated. This butterfly in the stomach is not love.
It's infatuation, right?
It's infatuation. And so what I would suggest to people to don't lose themselves in that phase is to feel like, try to find their ground, to make some exercise to ground themselves, like meditation or grounding their energy down, like toward the feet on the floor, like grounding and trying to be like out of these emotions for a moment and try to understand if it's really something good for them, this relationship, or if it's just infatuation. And if it's good and they feel a good, healthy potential in that, just try to always have some grounding, some grounding exercise to be with yourself, not always immerse in that relationship, because we need to cultivate the time with ourselves all the time. Otherwise, we really lose, and we get to understand that we lost ourselves when it's really far beyond. It's already since too many months or years.
And it could be hard to regain yourself if you go too far in that as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah, so as coaches, like we speak to different people and we tend to learn things about different people as we speak to them, right? So what would you say are some of the biggest things that you've learned as a coach speaking to different people about their relationships?
I learned that there is a big fear component in
Mm,
this relationship and dating. Like everyone that was my client was having always this type of fear component, also in their behaviors in the relationship or their need in the relationship. So fears are a big component in this, but it's also a big thing we need to overcome and heal. Otherwise, we don't function well in a relationship in a healthy way. So, the fear of not being loved and accepted is the biggest one I find in my clients. Like the feeling of, what if they don't like me? Oh, maybe they don't accept me. Maybe I have to change all the time. And this is really this fear of, not being approved somehow,
right,
from outside. And that is leading to perfectionism most of the time.
right.
Or to avoidance when they want to, they can't deal with that. It's like, oh, no. I just go down for fun. And then when things get too serious, I run away. So
Yeah,
it's always a component of fear, because even when we think about clients, that I'm sure you had clients with anxious attachment or
yeah.
with avoidant attachment. They are both afraid. They're not really different. It's just a response that is different, but the fear is the main component there.
Right.
So most of the time I work with my clients on several type of fears that they
Mm,
encounter in the relationships.
mm. And thank you for that as well. Like traditionally, like or before, people used to speak to people each other in person, meet people in person and things like that, right? And that was normal, right? And then in more recent times, dating apps have been more popular, right? So, but do you think that takes away from something, or do you think it's like the evolution of dating? What is your opinion on like meeting in real person versus meeting on a dating app? And is there anything lost in that?
Mm, I feel that as society is growing, and also depending where you live, because if you live in a little town, you can still meet people in the main square,
Mm,
meet people, interact with people in the bar of your little town. But as society is really developing fast, and we go to live in bigger cities to have more opportunities for job, for example, in the bigger cities, this thing is not really possible. You don't really meet people in the street. Like you meet them, but maybe they run fast to go to their next appointment.
right.
And it's difficult to interact with them. So I really like the connection with people, like in an event or in a bar or something, or with common friends. I really like that. But I think that dating apps are there because humanity is evolving and we are fast growing as a society. And dating apps can do lots of harm, but they can do also lots of good because they can connect people that maybe they live in the same city and they are in the same suburb and they never met each other.
Mm,
So they could be connected in that way. I'm not against dating apps. Actually, I'm
okay.
developing a dating app myself.
Okay.
But I want to create something that is healthy and conscious, like in the connection, because there is lots of people that use dating app to harm others, like
Yeah.
stealing or with fake identity. All these things is really bad. So of course, if we are in the dating app, we need to understand how to be careful, to have a bit more attention to these things. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with dating apps. I'm creating now something that will be better and will revolutionize the modern dating because
Yeah.
there is health component in the dynamic that is missing in the dating apps nowadays.
Yeah.
But I feel it's how we evolve, you know, like this connection digitally. And for some people, it's even easier because they have lots of anxiety of speaking. And when they need to speak with people that already know a bit themselves, you know, so having a screen in front of them is like a bit of safety, like, maybe I can take a bit of steps, you know, to get to know each other chatting and then before a public meeting, you know.
Yeah.
So I think can be good for many people.
Okay. Well, tell me this then. Like,
what is your opinion about
say that again.
dating apps? What is
What
your
is my opinion
opinion
on dating
about?
apps? I'm a very
Yeah.
real world type of person, right? So I got nothing against dating apps for like fun and stuff like that. But in terms of like seriously meeting someone, me personally, I'm a very real world type of person. But tell me this though, like if you're a single woman and you get approached at an event by a man who's interested in you and lets you know that he's interested in you, how do you feel about that versus someone that is messaging you on like a dating app that you've never met? Which one is more memorable to you or touches you in a more memorable way, let's say?
The physical person at the event, the personal exchange would be more memorable for me, for sure, because yeah, we need human connection and to be in the reality together. I totally agree with you. This will be better for me if I were a single person, also when I was dating.
Mm.
But yeah,
No,
this
because
will be.
like
Also,
even
my
yeah,
partner and I, we didn't met personally, and was not
okay,
even a dating app. It was like a WhatsApp group of common friends, and we were
right.
together with people we know and people we didn't know,
Yeah.
and you know, like,
See, I
and I
think
was
that's brilliant.
expecting,
I think that's brilliant because it was through people you already know, so it was already some type of connection, a friend of a friend.
yeah,
You know, even if like there was events where you met at an event, but then there was an app that everyone connects with after that event. I think that would be like a positive way to use a dating app, in my personal opinion. You know, so I'm not
yeah,
totally against it, but I agree with you that like in-person connections are always going to it's our fundamental nature to want to
yeah,
connect in person and we need that, you know. Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah. So it was very great having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming. Where can people find you, find out more about you and contact you?
They can go on my website. It's the love resolution with some minus in between, the minus love minus resolution.com, like New Year's resolution, but the love resolution. So on everywhere on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and my website is the love resolution. So it's very easy to find me.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, great. The link will be in the description on the video for those watching this after that, so you can reach out to Viky if you'd like to hear more from her. Viky, once again, thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure having you, and hopefully we can do it again sometime as well.
Yeah, thank you, Kayo, to invite me. Really, I appreciate your invitation. I really loved our call together.
You're very
Thanks a lot.
welcome. You're very welcome. You take care now, Viky.
Take care. Much love.
Much love. Bye bye.